What's good, 12s? The only place where defending Super Bowl champions come to talk real football. Now buckle up tight, because what I'm about to lay out could take this squad from one-hit wonder to an outright nightmare for the rest of the NFL. And nobody wants that. Well, we do. Right now, there are two major trade rumors making the rounds. And honestly, both of them have me pacing around my living room. One is about a defensive wrecking ball, the kind of guy who makes offensive linemen lose sleep. The other is about a young wide receiver with serious upside who just needs a fresh start. If either of these deals gets done, the whole league is going to feel a cold shiver run down its spine. Let's kick things off on defense. There's some real heat around Seattle, possibly sending premium draft capital across the table for one of the most relentless pass rushers in the game right now. We're talking about a 5-time Pro Bowler, a guy who has racked up nearly 70 career sacks in just 7 seasons. 7. That's not a fluke, that's a force of nature. He's got a motor that simply doesn't quit, the kind of player who's still sprinting full speed in the fourth quarter while everyone else is running on fumes. He's the emotional engine of his current defense, and his name is Max Crosby. Now picture plugging that into Mike Macdonald's system for a second. Last season, Seattle ranked 6th in the entire league in pressure rate, and we did that mostly rushing 4 guys. 4. So what happens when you drop an elite edge presence like Crosby opposite Leonard Williams? Suddenly you're collapsing pockets without even sending a blitz. Suddenly you're turning playoff quarterbacks into nervous wrecks. You're not just building a good defensive line, you're building a haunted house that offensive coordinators dread walking into. The rumored price tag? A first and a second round pick. Yeah, that stings a little. But here's some perspective. Seattle is sitting on over $72 million in cap space. The championship window isn't just open, it's wide open with the curtains blowing in the breeze. When a prime-age elite pass rusher becomes available, you don't sit on the couch and think about it. You pick up the phone. Sure, this franchise has built its identity through the draft. We've developed stars, trusted young guys, stayed disciplined. Trading away a first and second in 2026 is absolutely a risk. Nobody's pretending otherwise. But here's the counterpoint. We are the defending champions. We have a franchise quarterback on a manageable deal. We have elite young talent already locked in. And if Boy Mayfair hits free agency and walks out the door, there's a hole on the edge that needs filling fast. Crosby doesn't just fill that hole. He blows it up and builds something better. Late first-round picks are lottery tickets. Max Crosby is a proven commodity in his prime. You do the math. Now let's flip over to offense, because this story gets even more interesting. There's been chatter linking Seattle to Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver out of Jacksonville, who was a first-round pick back in 2024. His rookie year flashed genuine star potential, explosive plays, big upside, real WR1 energy. But in year 2, under a new coaching staff, things unraveled a bit. Drop issues crept in. Contested catches became a problem. He went from being projected as the Jaguars' top receiver to sliding down the depth chart by season's end. Then Jacksonville brought in Jacoby Myers. Parker Washington found his footing. And Travis Hunter is coming in ready to contribute on offense too. Suddenly, BTJ went from cornerstone to expendable. That's the NFL for you, cold as ice. So why does this matter for Seattle? Well, we all know Jackson Smith-Njigba just had a historic season. 119 receptions, 1,793 receiving yards, most in the entire NFL, and 10 touchdowns, Offensive Player of the Year. The guy is a superstar, full stop. But behind him, things get a little murky. Cooper Kupp gave us solid veteran production, 47 catches, 593 yards, 2 touchdowns, and some clutch moments when we needed them. But he turns 33 in June. Injuries have been part of his story, and Seattle could realistically move on in 2027 and free up $12 million in cap space. Long story short, that WR2 spot isn't locked up forever. Here's where BTJ gets really interesting. In Jacksonville, he was expected to carry the offense. That's a heavy backpack for a second-year receiver still figuring things out. In Seattle, no such pressure. He'd come in as a WR2, maybe even WR3 early on, with zero obligation to be the man. He could stretch the field vertically, feast on the single coverage that defenses have to give him while they're busy scheming against JSN, and develop his game inside a championship culture alongside veteran players who know exactly what winning looks like. That's not a demotion, that's a lifeline. The risk? Let's not sweep it under the rug. If the drop issues stick, if the mental side doesn't click, if that rookie explosiveness never comes back, you've spent draft capital on a guy who didn't pan out. That's fair. But here's the thing. In Seattle, he wouldn't be carrying anything. He'd be complementing something already great. That's a totally different pressure environment, and for a young player, that difference can be everything. This is exactly the kind of move that doesn't blow up on ESPN, but quietly pays off come January. Not flashy, not desperate, not expensive, just smart. Young, affordable, high ceiling, low pressure. If the price is reasonable, you'd better believe John Schneider is picking up that phone. So here's where I land, 12s. You've got two moves on the table. One is aggressive and loud, trading premium picks for a generational pass rusher who could make this defense historically terrifying. The other is quiet and calculated, a buy low swing on a talented young receiver who just needs the right situation to unlock his potential. Either move or both could be the thing that separates this team from Super Bowl winner and puts them firmly in the category of dynasty. Do you go all in on Crosby and go for the throat? Do you take the calculated gamble on BTJ and reload the receiver room? Or do you stay patient, trust the draft, and let the young guys grow? That's the conversation. Drop your takes in the comments. I genuinely want to know where the real 12 stand on this. What is going on, Seahawks Nation? Victor here, and I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now because today's news is the kind of stuff that makes your jaw hit the floor. The Seahawks are out here bulldozing through the San Francisco 49ers and getting ready to host the NFC Championship game at home. That alone is massive. But behind the scenes, we're now finding out that General Manager John Schneider nearly pulled off one of the most jaw-dropping trades in the entire history of this franchise. We're talking about a blockbuster 2-for-1 deal, DK Metcalf, Geno Smith, and a bona fide superstar all in the same conversation. Let that marinate for a moment. We're going to break down exactly what happened, how close this thing actually got, and whether there's still a chance it comes back around. But before we do, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. So what actually happened? According to ESPN's Brady Henderson, the Seahawks were actively working behind the scenes to land Max Crosby, arguably one of the most disruptive edge rushers in the entire league. At the NFL Combine, during what was described as a casual, free-flowing conversation, John Schneider reportedly floated a deal that would have shipped both Geno Smith and DK Metcalf over to the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for Crosby straight up. Yeah, a true 2-for-1 blockbuster. And honestly, that tells you everything you need to know about how this front office thinks. Seattle wasn't just looking to shuffle the roster around or patch a few holes. They were hunting for elite, franchise-altering, game-changing talent. That's a different mentality entirely, and as a Seahawks fan, that fires me up. Why Max Crosby is simply different. Let's not gloss over the facts here. Max Crosby isn't just a solid pass rusher who shows up to the Pro Bowl. He's a problem. A 5-time Pro Bowler who just recorded 14.5 sacks, 90-plus quarterback pressures, and elite pass rush win rates. And he did all of that while drawing constant double teams every single week. Offenses literally game plan around this man, and he still produces. It got so dominant that the Raiders turned around and handed him a 3-year, $16 million extension, making him one of the highest-paid defensive players in NFL history. That's the caliber of player Seattle had in its sights. Not a project, not a maybe, a proven destroyer in the prime of his career. So why didn't it happen? Here's where it gets interesting. The Raiders initially had their eyes on Matthew Stafford as the centerpiece coming back the other way. When that fell through, they shifted their focus toward Geno Smith, and that's when Schneider sensed an opening and pounced. But Las Vegas ultimately pumped the brakes, chose to lock Crosby up long-term, and the whole thing went cold. However, and this is the part worth paying close attention to, the relationship between Crosby and the Raiders organization is reportedly not great right now. According to The Athletic's Diana Rossini, Crosby was genuinely furious after the team shut him down late in the season, essentially tanking games to position themselves for the #1 overall pick in the 2026 draft. This is a guy who lives and breathes winning. He doesn't want to be parked on the sideline so the front office can grab a better draft slot. He's 29 years old this summer. He's in the thick of his prime, and he knows it. That kind of frustration doesn't just disappear with a new contract. Seattle doesn't need Crosby to be dangerous, but imagine if they got him. Let's give credit where it's due. Seattle's pass rush is already playing some genuinely impressive football without him. DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Uchenna Nwosu, Boye Maestroth. This group has been bringing heat consistently, playing fast and physical, and making life difficult for quarterbacks all season long. That's not nothing. That's actually really good. But now imagine sliding Max Crosby into that mix. That's not just a good defensive line anymore. That's a haunted house. That's the kind of defensive front that keeps offensive coordinators awake at 2 a.m. drawing up protection schemes and still coming up short. In today's NFL, where passing offenses run the show, an elite pass rush isn't just an advantage, it's the blueprint for winning championships, and Seattle would have all of it. If the Raiders can't patch things up with Crosby, and that tension continues to simmer, you can bet Seattle will be the first team on the phone. They've got the cap flexibility, they've got the draft capital, and most importantly, they've got a roster built to win right now. The timing lines up almost perfectly. What does this tell us about John Schneider? Honestly, it tells me he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Would trading away DK Metcalf and Geno Smith have hurt emotionally? Absolutely. DK is a fan favorite, a physical freak, a guy who makes highlight reels look easy. And Geno's comeback story is one of the best in recent NFL memory. Letting both of them go would have stung. But football-wise, the willingness to even float that deal shows a front office that is completely locked in on one thing: building a dominant trench, winning the line of scrimmage, and doing whatever it takes to stay at the top. That's not reckless. That's the mentality of a franchise that wants to build something that lasts longer than one Super Bowl run. Dynasties don't happen by playing it safe. So now I want to hear from you, Seahawks Nation. Would you have pulled the trigger on this deal? Is trading DK and Geno for Max Crosby the bold stroke of genius that pushes this team into dynasty territory? Or are you perfectly happy with the direction Seattle is already heading? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, no joke. If you got something out of this breakdown, show some love with that like button, subscribe, and let's get to 1,500 subscribers together. This channel is built for real Seahawks fans. No fluff, no empty hype, just genuine analysis and honest conversation. Thank you guys, see you next video.